Alright, the post-Penguin game video is up, so now we're going to do the rest of the games today. These are pretty quick analysing of all the games, so let's jump straight in. So the first game was the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, they're Saints patch jerseys, you should know they're affiliated with the Leafs. Versus the Montreal Canadiens, and probably what was the best game of the day. The other Canadian game was also quite good. I have a feeling it's just going to be fun to watch any game in Canada because it's just going to be lots of goals and you just never know what's going to happen. And this game ran true to that. Montreal Canadiens ended up with three separate intervals gaining the lead. And one of those times was a 2-goal lead. So they had 1-0, 3-1, and then 4-3, and they still couldn't get the win done. So a little bit disappointing on their part. They just had defensive breakdowns all across the ice, which allowed teams to come back. However, they did do things well. I think give them a few more weeks. As long as they don't drop too many games in the next little bit, they might actually be living up to some of the hype that some people have on them. They just need to get some systems down place and play a bit better in the net and defensively, I think. But yeah, it's not too bad. Maple Leaf side of things, lots of skill, everything's going well in that front, but a lot of the bad tendencies of last year, the last few years, sort of reared its head again, where they had lapses, couldn't play a full 60 minutes. And again, you're going to say that excuse if, well, it's their first game, they might be able to grow into it into the season. However, we've just seen this movie a little bit too much before, so I want to see them play a bit more of a complete game. I feel like they've got the talent and the discipline to be able to do that. But yeah, it just didn't work out. Now getting into the players who did quite well. I mean, Suzuki had a great game. Danault had a great game, even though he's playing in an elevated position where I don't think he should necessarily be. Drouin had a great game. Petrie had a really good game as well. Really solid for the Canadians. So yeah, and Josh Anderson leapt off with not just 1 goal, 2 goals for his brand new team. It helps. Some of the goals were set up quite nicely. But still, you got to put him over the line, and that's what he was able to do. Toronto, Nylander, remember how everyone hated him? Well, he did pretty good today. Jumbo Joe doesn't look like he fits in. I feel like just a lot of lines don't make sense at the moment. I feel like Ilya is just a little bit out to sea. Matthews didn't seem comfortable. Tavares at points seemed like he wanted the puck too much, and then he didn't want the puck, and it just, yeah, it just doesn't seem, I don't think the balance is there yet, but that'll obviously work itself out. I mean, obviously the mainstays are going to be with who they're with, but I think there's just going to be a little bit of rejigging on those lines to get that to work perfectly. So now for the 3 stars of the game. Slightly different to the NHL, the more stars you get, the better, because it's going, at the end of the season, you get the Starriest Award, and that's just a gem. It's Hart Trophy and then the Starriest Award. So 3 stars are as follows. Jonathan Drouin gets the 1 star, so obviously the 1 star is like the 3 star in the NHL. You want to accrue stars, that's it. It's like a Mario Party sort of situation. So Jonathan Drouin, I'll give that. He had a great game, ended up getting 3 points throughout the game, seemed to be quite active throughout the whole play. Josh Anderson, I'll give 2 stars, mostly because it's I did it with the Penguins-Philly game. So, you score your first goal for a team, you did well, had a rough season last year. It was a really bad season for him last year. He was injured a lot, he got 1 goal, he's outdone his total from last year, so that's 2 stars. And your number 1 star, or the 3 stars, the one who gets the 3-stariest, Alexander Nylander. No surprise there. He had a great game. The Good Guy Tries Hard Award, which is kind of like the award that I give to the player that I think just did well, even though they weren't on the stats sheet or ability to get in the stars. Nick Suzuki, I think he had a great game. I really think he could have scored more than 1 goal. He got the opening goal for the season for the Canadian team, and yeah, just an overall good game. That play-in playoffs thing, the bubbly thing, was his coming out party a little bit, and now we're starting to see that fruition. But yes, Toronto ends up leaving the game with the 2 points. Montreal still gets 1, they get a pity point, so it does help it out. Every point's going to matter this season, especially because it only just dawned on me, every team that you're versing is a team that you're playing against for a playoff spot, technically, so yeah, obviously that doesn't usually happen. Sometimes you go play LA and you're just like, well, it doesn't really, I mean, it's good to get the 2 points, but it doesn't super matter. But yes, they win it in overtime. Easily the best game that we've seen. That overtime was helter-skelter. I just think it was just a fun game. Remember when hockey was fun? This game was fun. Next game was Tampa Bay versus the Blackhawks. They're both kicking off their seasons. It all started with a banner going high up into the rafters. Some of the players were like, it's sad because technically this is the moment we give back the cup. But they seem to be like, we're now defending it, and they want to win it again. So it seems like they're quite hungry. However, over the last few years, the team that is defending usually has a bit of bad luck on their opening night. Unfortunately, they came across a team that's having worse luck right now. The Blackhawks, obviously, without Kirby Duck and Jonathan Toews, no real goaltending to speak of. See if one of them can take that role. But yeah, it wasn't very good. Defensively, they didn't look great. I mean, this game was just Tampa Bay. Like, there's not much really else to say. I'm sorry if you're a Tampa Bay fan. It's not a huge amount that I could say. They looked lethal on the power play. Hedman was great on. It just looked like everything just clicked immediately again with this team. There were some small faults here and there. They definitely let off the gas once they were 4. I thought Vasilevsky was an underrated, very good player this game. Even though he didn't see a ton of shots, made some pretty good saves along the way. So I feel like, yeah, for those of you who think that this team may have a Stanley Cup hangover, they had a drip in or something, because they look ready. And I don't know if the Blackhawks made it look that way. If you're a Blackhawks fan, it's just gonna be a long year. It's just gonna be a long year. So let's go with the positives. Dylan Strome scored. He didn't get shut out. I mean, that's good, right? First line center Dylan Strome. Oh no, it's just, yeah, it just hurts. It really does hurt watching this game. There's nothing to analyze. Like, it was just a team in a whole different league, just dominating, just absolutely dominating. Oh yeah. I originally thought Matthew Joseph. I actually wrote a note. I was like, Matthew Joseph first goal in the NHL, and then realized he did that last year. He played 1 regular season game and he scored a goal, and then he played 4 playoff games. So the guy now has played 2 regular season games and has 2 goals, which is pretty incredible, right? And it just seems like the only real question of this Tampa Bay Lightning team was like, is their depth going to be okay? It was fine. It was perfectly fine. Everything's all good. We'll see what the next test is. For Blackhawks fans, I mean, we got to see if one of these goalies can take the net. But yeah, it wasn't good all around, was it? It just, yeah. Draft's coming up. It's a bit sooner than normal. At least, like, if your team's terrible, the short season means it's not 82 games. It's just terrible. I'm trying to be positive. But the 3 stars, so the first star, or the player that gets 1 star, I'll give that to Cirelli. I thought he had a good game. He's playing an elevated position. I noticed him out on the ice. I think that contract might be worth it in the end. So, yeah, 2 stars. I'm going to skip Hedman. Even though he had a great game, I'm going to skip him this one. I'm sorry. I'm going to give it to Vasilevsky. I know he only faced 23 shots and he let 1 in. But he did make some pretty good saves. Like, there were some defensive breakdowns that he did get his team out of jail a few times, just to make sure they held that lead and make sure they'll definitely get that W. And number 1, he played like 4 shifts in the Stanley Cup playoffs and scored a goal and has a cup and his name's on the cup. Steven Stamkos, I thought he was a great contributor. Obviously, with some of the injuries that they have right now, he needs to step up and play a little bit of a more elevated game. So he was able to do that. Then another game. This is where the game started all being on at the same time. It was a little bit harder to track, but I was managed to watch most of this game. I had to sort of pause it and go back a little bit as I was watching other games, but I was able to watch most of this game. Vancouver versus the Edmonton Oilers. A lot of fun again. 8 goals being scored. It was just a real hoot. Vancouver ended up getting the win, but it wasn't as simple as that. It was just, they were able to play a full 60-minute game. Hanaravan Singh also was the play-by-play commentator for the game. I just read his book, actually. Like, I just finished it. I'm going to do a review on that. But one of the things he said is that his dream was to be a broadcaster on an English broadcast and not just do Hockey Night in Punjabi. So congratulations to him. I thought he was great. During some of the goals, he did some of his singing things. He really added his own flavour to it. And I like the fact that it was slightly different, right? Like, I just enjoyed it. We're so used to white, crotchety old men in this role. And some of them are very good, like, don't get me wrong. But he was a revelation in this, so I just wanted a quick shout out there just because I I noticed it, and I finished his book 2 days ago, so I was like, oh, that's amazing that he's on there. So, yeah. Hoglander as well, scoring his first NHL goal. Congratulations. It's always great when you get up there and can score a good big goal for your team. This is a game that the Oilers had some real good chances to go home and get a win, but they could just never be on top. Vancouver was always the one that was able to score and score timely goals, and the second Edmonton was able to get back, they would just be able to score again. Besser was very much known. He's probably playing a bit more of an elevated position that Miller's out due to COVID reasons. He had a great game, especially towards the tail end of the game, but pretty much it was a full team effort. I really like most of the team. Again, huge defensive breakdowns, and what is this goaltending? Holtby starting a net, it didn't look great. I'm not going to lie. Some positives on the Edmonton side of things. That power play is probably one of the just best things to watch, even if they don't score. It is unbelievable. Just the way they move the puck. Obviously, I watched pretty much every game today, at least in big parts. And watching that power play, I was just grinning ear to ear. I was like, this is ridiculous. This is just, the way they move that puck around in that power play, just like, this is a video game. This is just lunacy. It was so good. Draisaitl and Yamamoto ended up scoring a pretty big goal, and it seems like they've got that synergy going, and he was obviously a big part of Yamamoto getting Draisaitl's game, especially when McDavid was injured, just getting so many points. So it's good to see that they've got their chemistry again. They were able to make it 1-1. I like the fact the Oilers never went away in this game properly. They kept trying to come back. They got it up 4-3, but they just were outskilled. Probably in a bit more of the defensive aspects and in the goaltending aspects. The problem is with this team, and you look at that last goal by Besser, this goaltending tandem is not going to give them a save. It's just not. And I don't think they have the skill in front, even though they have some of the best players in the league, to make up for that. I don't think. There are some teams that get away with that. Carolina Hurricanes are probably one of them, and we do see that now with their goaltender tandem. I think they've built a system that they can win games without having that goalie to make that big save. But Edmonton is not built that way, and you saw it on display here. Vancouver is by all means not perfect, but it's good to see them sort of pick off where they left off last season. They've got a lot of talent as well. This is just a fun game. Like I said, it was just a hugely fun, immense game, and I had a ball watching it. I thought the Nurse goal was quite good as well, but ultimately Vancouver's just able to get a lot more goals from points from players like Roussel and Gaudette, like those sort of players, and that became a bit more of a difference maker in the game. But Vancouver probably deserved to win, but if there was a big save at some point, they may not have. But they were still able to control this game, I think, because of that aspect. 3 stars. First, or the person getting 1 star, I think I've got to give it to Hoglander. You just got to. His first goal in the NHL, right? You can't complain with that. Number 2, I'll give it to Besser. Even though he scored 2 goals, I just think outside of those goal moments, he wasn't super into the game. And the first star, or the person getting 3-star points, Quinn Hughes. I mean, that pass for that Besser goal was just ridiculous. Like, it was so perfect, and you're just like, oh god, he hasn't stopped at all. I had a choice between him and Kyle McCarr in fantasy, and I picked McCarr, and I was like, Hughes might fall down another spot. And he didn't, and it would have been handy to have him. It would have been handy. I mean, I got Hedman and Sergachev, so it's not too bad. But yes, Vancouver get a much needed 2 points. You want to start your season off right. Edmonton, I think, are a team that probably aren't going to make playoffs. We'll see how it goes. I just don't like that goaltending tandem. I think it's going to cost them in the end. I really do. But yeah. And the last game of the day, the St. Louis Blues versus the Colorado Avalanche. A little bit surprising, this game. A little bit surprising. I was one of the few people that probably wrongly, from the play-in rounds in the playoffs, wrote off the St. Louis Blues because they didn't do very well. Then you kind of remember, that they had COVID before that. It does affect you afterwards. They seem flat. They seem non-energetic. Like a few other teams say give them a pass, but they were doing very well in the regular season. I think also I'm like, well, Pietrangelo's not there anymore, so it's a big loss. Torrey Krug coming in is a big help there, so I was kind of just like, oh yeah, there's definitely some things I haven't factored in. Tarasenko being away, Yeah, like they're still able to keep everything moving there. Sundqvist had a great game, obviously. Boy, I was a bit worried for him when he plowed into the wall after that breakaway. But very like Mighty Ducks-esque, Mighty Ducks 2, when that guy just can't stop. Burakovsky on the power play too. Oh my goodness! He had like 3 or 4 good chances, like one amazing toe drag, and then he obviously got the one-timer in. Just to start off things, but I thought he was great, a really good start, but outside of the power plays, and the Blues being a bit undisciplined, especially early in the game, which left the door open for Colorado to get into this. It really was Colorado 5-on-5. It really was. It was just their game. They just dominated. Outside of some undisciplinary plays. I thought the refs were a bit harsh tonight, but at least I think they were pretty consistent. They missed a few things, but like pretty early on. Like I'm not annoyed at any of the refs today. But yeah, it was just all Blues. Like it really was, and I was a bit surprised by that. And it's the first game. It's early on, so we can't make full assessments of like. It's not like game 2 of the Stanley, of a playoff round. You're like, well, how does this team not try, or be dominated by so much? But they really were. They really were dominated Colorado, and the Blues just had an all-round game. It didn't matter how Colorado wanted to play. If they wanted to play physical, yeah, we can do that. If they want to play quick, well, those bottom lines seem to be able to move. Sundqvist just bolts off, especially in that goal. It was just gone, and you're just like, oh, there's no defense to stop that. Okay. So I wonder if Colorado is the juggernaut that we see it is, and maybe the Blues have something to factor into that in making that this might be a very full-on division if the Blues are up to scratch here, because then you've got Vegas and you've got Colorado and you've got a few other teams there that might be chippy and not go away, looking at kind of like Arizona, Minnesota as well. They've improved a fair bit, so it might be a lock up the top there as we thought it was. It's one game, so we'll see. But I was very impressed by the way the Blues played. Thought in goaltending, obviously, those issues seem to be sorted. That was a big problem last year, but might have been a Stanley Cup hangover. All around, just a great game by the Blues. Really good goals. Some really good goals, some really good plays. And I just think it's probably the team that I saw today that played an NHL in April kind of game. A game that can transition to that a lot quicker than what we saw with, especially the Canadian divisions. Like, if that's the way they're going to play, they might win 2 playoff rounds in their division, then they're just going to get trucked. They're just going to get murdered if they play that way going forward. I don't think it will. I think the systems will take over. I just think the Blues were a lot more refined and ready to go. And, they're going to be hard to beat. They're going to be very hard to beat. Parayko, I thought too. Again, last year I wasn't very happy with Parayko's play. I thought he was fine. But yeah, they got some scoring from Kai Rue as well, came in. I thought he was quite good. But yeah, they got some scoring for some interesting, Thomas, Sundqvist, I think, players that they wanted to go the next step. And if they can play like this all season, they're a real scary team. They could be quite deep if they play like that the whole time. I'm not 100% on the defense yet. We'll see if they can generate much offense out of them. But I think they might be on. Colorado, it's the first game. It's the first game. There's not panic. It's not panic just yet. Obviously their power play was great. McKinnon was fantastic. He could have got some points today. That was a bit unlucky. He hasn't missed a beat. You can just tell immediately. He's just like, oh yeah, he's going to be fine. He'll be in the Hart conversation. No worries at all. Just sometimes you get snake bit in a game. It happens. Their defense is going to be a bit interesting, how that works, and a bit more depth. Overall, I thought it was an okay game. They just were outplayed. They're just, in every asset. Not hugely outplayed, but they just were outplayed a bit. Wouldn't mind seeing a bit more from Kadri. I didn't think he had a great game, or Landeskog as well. I just felt like they were a bit slow out there. But again, first game, so, let's give them a break. At the end of these videos, we go through all the fights that happened today. There was only one, Wayne Simmons and Ben Sherratt. I'm going to keep a tally of who wins the most this season. And obviously you get 2 points for a TKO or a KO where clearly you've gone down and not just lost balance. It's clearly you've gone down, or you get 1 point for a decision. Wayne Simmons wins this one easily with a decision. I don't think Ben Sherrod even got a punch in. I know fighting's barbaric, but like it's still part of the game, and I feel like we don't talk about it very much. It's that thing that goes down the way, and yeah, I mean it's pretty easy to add on to the end of the video. If you do want to see the scrap, I'll link it in the description below so you can go see it. Yeah, it was only a couple of things. I didn't think there was going to be one on opening night, but yeah, there you go. But that is the whole video that is going through every single game that happened today. If you did like this video, hit the like button. Otherwise, hit subscribe down below. I'm going to be doing this pretty much every single day. I may miss a couple as we sort of go along in the season just because life happens. But for the most part, we're doing them daily. Also, tomorrow morning I'll get up before work and because I'm in Australia and do a preview for the games tomorrow as well. Comment down below, was there anything that I missed in any of the games that you thought I should have brought up? Was there anything you're excited about the games? Are you excited about your team? Is there an issue with your team? Blah, 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 blah. Comment down below. It just sort of helps out. It keeps the conversation going. But thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. See you and bye.